and Native Indians who they are according to the Bible, and that the oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of.
Right.
The oppressor is and always have been the devil. We're going to get that in the stories today. But before we go any further, do you have any questions, sis? No questions? All right, Most High Christ. Most High Christ. Now, when we say the oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of, man, we don't mean the little red man with a pitchfork. We mean a liar and deceiver, man. That's what a devil is. A devil is a liar and a deceiver, somebody who's going to deceive. Think about what the devil done all in the scriptures. What did he do? He lied and deceived. That's what he did. He lied and deceived Eve. He's lied and deceived everybody that chooses to follow and fall for the tricks of the devil. The devil's a trickster. You understand? That's what he wants to do, man. He wants to trick you into believing that you're going to gain something for nothing. Because the devil cannot offer you nothing. Satan cannot give you anything. There is no amount of power on the face of this planet that Satan has to give you. He doesn't have any power. He only has the power to manipulate. To manipulate. That's it. He can make you think that something is real when it's not. Oh, my bad. And that's what we're about to get into, man. We're about to get into what we always say. The oppressor is the devil. Always have been, always will be. From new oppressors just being born every day, guess what they are?
Right.
They're the devils. From the old oppressors of the past, guess what they were? They were the devil, man. And today we're going into a hardcore story, man. We're going into the Maccabees, the Maccabean War. You understand? The Maccabean War. And see, the historians, here's what the historians do. They call it a revolt. And by calling it a revolt, guess what they are doing? They're saying that they was doing something wrong. They revolt, because that's what a revolt is, to go against something that you see that's supposed to be deemed right. This is right. How could they be against this? No. Following the oppressor is never right. So it's a war. The Lord didn't say the Maccabean revolt, unless I missed something. He said it was war, to go to war with these people. And that's what we're going to get into, man. Anything you want to bring up on that before we get to the scriptures?
Lie.
All right, Most High Christ. Let's rock it out, man. First Maccabees 1-1, man. We're about to get it in. We're about to go over a lot of history that a lot of us know, but we know it from the eyes and the mouths of the oppressor. We see it through their eyes, and we learn the stories through their mouths, which is false. You understand? Which is false, which is a goddamn lie. So we're going to get the truth today.
This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 1 in the Apocrypha. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, Macedonian.
Wait, Alexander. Does anybody know what Alexander they're talking about? You know, sis? Who? The Greek. The Greek is how the oppressor wants you to think about him. Talking about he's the best conqueror, blah, 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 which is not right. That's not true. The best conqueror on the face of this planet is a black man by the name of Hannibal. Huh?
Hannibal's African.
What you say?
Hannibal's African.
No, Hannibal was Israel.
No, it's the school teacher.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh, well, shit. I could have sworn they said Hannibal was Israel. Oh, well, shit. We want to go over that again. That's another story for another day. Right. But I can tell you one thing: the greatest conqueror definitely ain't a goddamn oppressor. Right. That's for sure, or a heathen. You understand? But so that's you know, I'm gonna go over that again. My brother told me that they say Hannibal is a heathen, but I thought Hannibal was an Israelite that just had roots out of Africa like we all do. Because once more, we were taking slaves. We fled from our homeland. We fled into Africa. You get what I'm saying? We fled into Africa. Why did we flee into Africa? To blend in. Because they look like us. Even to this day, we got the same skin complexion. I was out today. I'm not even sure what that heathen was. But when you look at her face, you can tell she was a heathen. But when you look at her skin complexion, she looked like one of us. So if you see her from far off, you go, that's a nigga. And when she turned around, she got all these features that's not our features. We got big plush lips. You get what I'm saying? Our noses are wider. You get what I'm saying? We don't have them Hunter Hearst Helmsley noses. You know who I'm talking about when I say that? It's a wrestler named Hunter Hearst Helmsley. You know how a witch nose comes out the hair?
Mm-hmm.
That's how his nose is. You can just look at it and be like, no, that's not one of us. Like we have certain features, our beards, you get what I'm saying? Our hair, our sister's hairs. You get what I'm saying? Like we have features that you can tell. I can look at somebody's hair and I can almost tell exactly what they are. I look at an African, I'm like, yeah, that's African hair.
Right.
That's African. Look at them sandals. Them is African feet right there. Like there's certain features. So I got off the subject.
It's like if I could.
Go ahead.
Just to touch on something you brought up earlier about how it is that our oppressor calls Alexander the Greek. You understand? Alexander the Great.
Right.
It's because they want you to believe that he was just such a great man that came to all of these different. Through conquering them, he civilized them. Just like they want you to think with what they did to the so-called Native Indians or indigenous peoples of America. Just like what they want you to think that they did with the Isukrites, the so-called Mexicans or Aztecs, the Mayans. You understand? All of the tribes that were originally over here living and, just enjoying their kingdoms. But that's why they call him the Great, because they want you to think he's just such a great man who unified everybody and was peaceful with those within his kingdom.
Right.
But at the end of the day, Alexander the Greek slaughtered just an absurd amount of Israelites.
Right.
You understand? He put us through such suffering. You understand? Starving us out, raping our women, murdering our children, castrating our men, just doing all kinds of horrendous things in order to ensure that his kingdom and his armies were able to flourish and continue their reign of terror across the earth.
Sounds like a Christian to me.
Right.
And if I could, to touch on Alexander the Greek, like you said, they use that terminology to much more. And just think about the brainwashing behind it. They call him Alexander the Great. We know that he was a plain homosexual. We know this. Those are all Linda stories. He was a boy lover. You get what I'm saying? For lack of better terms that I'm not allowed to use. Right. He was a boy lover, right? And then they tell you that he's great. How about Alexander the sinful? How about Alexander the rapist? How about Alexander the murderer? How about Alexander the devil? You understand? Like, how about them? You get what I'm saying? It's all a brainwashing thing. All their people are great. All their people, when you speak about the crimes of the oppressor, they're looked at and highlighted as such great things. Prohibition, for example. They were murdering, raping, stealing, and breaking the law. But that's looked at as such a good thing. Prohibition, that's how we established our businesses and got to be a billionaire, and now that generational wealth for us to the family. Like what is it, NASCAR? That started off from running from the police and street racing and all that. Now it's a sport. Their crimes are considered to be glorious, great, just like Alexander, the so-called Greek, or the so-called Great, who was a Greek. His name was really Alexander the Greek, because they wanted you to know where he was from. He was proud of being a boy lover, just like all the rest of the Greeks. But through the time of the oppressor, rewriting history, because history is written by the winners, right? So when you control the narrative, you can control what you want to put in there. So that's how he became Alexander the Great. And it's sad, though, because this is what we all learned in school. Now, they might be catching something different now. I know they started taking slavery out the textbooks. And now, y'all weren't slaves, y'all were indentured servants. This is what they're teaching in school now. That blacks, Hispanics, and Native people were indentured servants. So, like I said, history is controlled by the winners. Therefore, you go into the scriptures.
Okay. I'm reading from the top.
Yeah, take it from the top.
Book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 1. And it happened after that, Alexander, son of Philip.
Son of Zeus.
Son of Philip.
He's a demigod.
Son of Philip.
That oppressor is a demigod, and he was able to do these great things because he was the son of a god.
Son of Philip.
His mother told him so.
Son of Philip.
Son of Philip. He was a regular man. Do you know in the stories and the movies and all that stuff, they try to say he was the son of Zeus and blah, 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 blah. That's because the oppressor have always wanted to be God. If he couldn't be the Most High, he couldn't be the God of Israel. He had to make up his own gods. And that's what all these other nations do, so they can be viewed in the light of a God. But right here, we're reading it in the scriptures. This is something that you never learned in the oppressor school, who his father was. They tell you that he was a demigod. And then they go into the whole definition of what a demigod is, right? And it's funny, though, because the Christians, never mind, that's a story for another day. I'm about to say, but just think about it with Christ. So the demigod is somebody whose father is supposed to be a god, right? Then when you're born, that makes you have God. So even in Christianity, when they talk about Christ, when you put a black face on him, they don't talk about him in the aspect of being a demigod. You get what I'm saying? It's something totally different. Then he's just not. If he's white, he's supernatural and he's a real God. If he's black, he's not talked to in the aspect of a demigod. You get what I'm saying? Like, this goes to show you the mindset of the oppressor. He always wants to put himself at the top of the pack, the top of the pecking order, so to speak. Let me get there real quick. We're in First Maccabees. So his son was, his father was Philip the Macedonian. All of these people are Macedonians. This is the Macedonian Empire. This is the empire before Rome. These are the Greeks. It's lucky. Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chedum and had smitten Darius, king of the Persians. So so the Persians, so if I'm not mistaken, my history's a little bit off. I've never been the best historian, because what I had to do is I had to relearn history according to the scriptures and not according to the oppressor. So the first people that had us in captivity were the Assyrians. And then from there, we went to, I'm going to say the Africans. I may be wrong about that, but I know it was the Persians that was next up, right? Then from the Persians to the Greeks, because the Greeks conquered the Persians. So we went from the Persian slavery into the Greek slavery. So that's why, and we was under the Persian slavery for a minute. Like the Persians, now they conquered some stuff as well. You understand? They went on a conquering spree as well. And they took a lot of tactics from a lot of places that they conquered, the same as the Greeks, war elephants and rhinos and things of that nature. That's what made them so powerful, because they incorporated a lot of other war tactics that they took from other lands. And then the oppressor, doing what the oppressor always done, he stole them war tactics. He stole them and mimicked them. He said, listen, these people that we are conquering, we have to take their tactics in order to survive. So when it says Darius and Bangad, ain't that the third?
Darius the third of Persia.
Yep, Darius the third. So that's about close to 200, 300 years of oppression from them, just from their generation alone. Let's get some more. I was at Darius.
Had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece.
Right.
Verse 2, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth.
Right. So he just went around and conquered everything. You understand? And I'll tell you something else real quick. This is something that you never learned in a Christian church. When I was in a Christian church, I never learned that the Bible had so many damn wars in it. And it was all about love. They never pulled them love scriptures.
Right.
They pulled about one or two of them to try to make sure that you love your enemies. But they never talked about the war with your enemies, like this Maccabees is about to go into.
Right.
Go ahead.
And it's like, if I could,
Yeah, right, priest.
it's like just like the Greeks were making wars with every single nation, you understand, with all the kings of the earth and conquering these lands, you know, saying even with the times and how they've changed, that just goes to show you that the spirit that our oppressor has, it will never change. You understand? Just like the Greeks were making war with everybody, so is America. America has made war, you know what I'm saying, with Great Britain back when they were trying to get their own independence. They made war with themselves. They made war with the Germans and the Japanese, the Ishmael, or those that live in the Middle East. Right. You understand? America has made war with everybody and sought to conquer their lands and acquire their resources. Like that same spirit it is that the Greeks had, America has till this day. And they're always going to have that spirit no matter what kingdom it is that we are under as a nation.
Right. You're absolutely right. And once more, it was the Greeks. After the Greeks came who? The Romans. And the Romans was a terrible, terrible, filthy nation as well. And who was America modeled after? The Romans. Who did the Romans model after? The Greeks. So now we start to see that same oppression that the Greeks had transferred into the Romans, now transferred into America as we know it. It's the same thing. When in Rome, do as the Romans do, right? Ain't that an American saying?
Right.
So what did the Romans do? They did what the Greeks did. What did the Greeks do? Took slaves of the children of Israel. That's what they really mean when they say stuff like that. Take slaves and enjoy your slaves. What are they going to do? You understand? And here's the sad part. The reason why we fail is because we don't follow the Lord. We're about to read about some mighty men that followed the Lord and started off just fighting for themselves. And when they did that thing, everybody followed them. They had an army behind them.
Right.
An army of farmers and shepherds and, husbandmen, which means to till the lands. You get what I'm saying? Like they went the army, but they quickly became the army of the Lord. Like before, me and my brother right here next to me, before this UPK, we weren't an army. We came here, started following the law, such as the commandments of the Lord, and now this is the army of the Lord.
Right.
And the only thing I know is we can't lose, no matter who we up against.
Right.
Let's get some more scripture.
Verse 3, and went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him.
Right. The oppressor is such a beast. Is you know what I'm saying? This is in this what we're reading now really plays in today's modern time when you think about America, because America has instituted the same war tactics that the Greeks had and that the Romans had as well. And America institutes the same thing, and that's why people feel like, well, who can make war with America? Mm-hmm. Like the earth is quiet. But I'll tell you one thing, when you're free, you don't never stop fighting. What's proof of that? Look at what just happened in Afghanistan. Sir. Look at what just happened in Afghanistan. 20 years they was fighting America. They was quiet for a little bit, but one thing they never stopped doing was fighting. To the time that America did this, America was on guard. It was alert, and they started doing this. What happened? They got caught sleeping. And them Afghanistan soldiers took back their country and then was dancing to Bobby Smurder, shooting AKs in there. Wasn't that really them playing that? Yeah. Playing Bobby Smurder. It was hilarious, but that's because they refused. They believe in their God, and they willing to fight no matter how long it takes, no matter how many die for their God and their beliefs. We have to have that same spirit, the spirit of the Maccabees. We about to get into it. So
it's like, if I could.
Damn right, please.
And not only is that America, but at one point it was also the UK or Great Britain.
Ooh,
you understand? At one point it was France. At one point it was Russia or Germany.
Right.
It was any one of these superpowers out here that has a devil in charge and predominantly has devils within it. Like, it don't matter what power it is that we're under as a nation. Like, these devils are always going to have the same spirit that they've had since the time of the Greeks.
Right.
That they've had since, Esau's birth, when, him and our forefather was struggling within the womb. Like, they're always going to have that murderous spirit. And we got to kind of get out of that mentality of, oh, well, what do they say, the better of two evils.
Yeah, the better of two evils.
Yes.
The lesser of two evils.
Yeah, the lesser of two evils. Like, we got to get out of that mentality as a nation, because we might think, well, America is bad, but these devils up north, you know, saying them Canadian devils, they nice and peaceful.
Yeah, like they rape us, but they only rape us Mondays and Tuesdays. I can deal with that.
Right.
Like, it don't matter, man. Wicked is wicked, and you cannot have a plea bargain with wickedness. It's only the way of the Lord. That's it. That's the only bargain that you can make. The way of the Lord. Follow the Most High Christ. That's it. That's all I want to say.
Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. It's like, if I could,
Right.
and that's exactly how America really has been since they earned their independence.
Right.
You understand? They
defeated the British you was talking about.
Right. You understand? They went through conquering everybody, taking all their riches, and for the longest time, America just viewed themselves as, you understand, God, that they were untouchable, that they had the right to judge all matters within the earth, no matter what nation it was, that they could just do whatever it was that they pleased, especially to the Lord chose people. But with not only COVID-19 giving them that rude awakening, but with how it is that they lost the war against the Afghanistanians or the Taliban that they've been fighting for 20 years, that's a rude awakening for America. And it let them realize that they are not the, you know, all-fearing power in this earth that they believed that they were, just like they believed they were during the Vietnam War.
Right.
But them Vietnamese gave them a rude awakening as well.
Yeah, right.
And it's going to be especially a rude awakening once Christ returns with them 200 million angels and burns America to a crisp.
Yeah, Mark, if you could, I want to put another scripture for you on there, where it was, you just read, Book of Obadiah. That's what I want. I think it's going to be Obadiah 3. But read what you just read again, where it talks about how he was happy.
Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up.
Obadiah 1 and 3.
I got it.
Oh, you got it? I'm sorry.
Book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 3. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee.
Now, with that being said, go ahead. Because that's what you just brought out, like how America is. You just brought it out. Like the scriptures, it don't matter where you go, man. We just read in the Maccabees how in his heart, he was like, man, I'm unstoppable.
Right.
He was in the mirror doing this. This is what he was doing in the mirror. What he was doing. He said, can't nobody whoop me. I have conquered. I came, I saw, I conquered. All of this belongs to Greek. He walking up to people like this. Welcome, my Greek brother.
Right.
like people didn't have a choice. But the pride of their heart has deceived thee, man. But we know what the Lord gonna do. The reason Obadiah says the pride of their heart has deceived thee is because, once more, just as we see, because we get into the stories later on in Maccabees, how they didn't keep power. Mm-hmm. The same thing is going to happen with America. How they downfall is prophesied. This is all that the Bible is about. How whenever any other nation think that they're bigger than the Lord puts them under the boot heel of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, time and time again. And we would keep them under our boot heel if we would only but serve the Lord. Stay serving the Lord. That's why this story is so important. I don't mean to keep stopping. Let's get some more.
Come on, verse 4. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. Mm-hmm. And if I could,
go ahead, please.
Yes, and this should show our people, because a lot of brothers and sisters in the world like to believe that America will always, be at the top of the food train. It's like a food chain when it comes to not only the top nation, but also when it comes to our oppressor, right, being at the top of, you could say the food chain or the power structure of this earth.
Right.
But this goes to show you that America is not the first
superpower.
first Edomite superpower to rule over vast amounts of land,
Right.
to rule over other nations and having these other nations come to them, and giving them tribute or giving them riches or taxes, whatever it is that you want to call it.
Right.
Like Alexander the Greek was known, like he was he's like well known for conquering, what is it, like 25% of the known world,
Right.
something like that. Like he had a vast amount of territory
And some
for
people
his
say
day.
it was even more, depending on what devil scholars you listen to.
Right. You know what I'm saying? He had a lot of power in his day. And sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's like I was going to say, and I'm sure that our brothers and sisters who lived back then, our forefathers, I'm sure they thought that, the Greeks would rule the earth forever. That there's no way that our people could ever come up above these disgusting heathens that conquered them and that ruled over them with an iron fist and kept them in crippling poverty and oppression.
Right.
But we'll find out that the Lord was with our people, and we were able to overcome these heathens. And the same thing can happen today. You understand? We can overcome America if our people come back to keeping the law, statutes, and commandments and coming into the Isupk under command of John Yohana. You understand? Right. We can get out of this oppression it is that we've been living under for over 400 years.
And if I could, our enemies know this as well. I'm going to find that precept in just a second, but I'm going to paraphrase it. Where the king was trying to figure out why the children of Israel wouldn't put no respect on his so-called crime. And like, I'm sitting up here passing out orders telling these people what to do, and they won't do it. Who are these people? Why don't they respect me? And so he started getting his advisors together, and they telling him all this stuff, and one said, listen, you don't want me to tell you because I'm going to tell you the truth. And he's like, tell me the truth. He's like, man, these people don't give a damn about you. They serve the God of Israel. And as long as they serve the God of Israel, they are untouchable. You cannot touch them. It don't matter if you got no matter how big your army is, they're going to beat them because the God of Israel was with them. But if you want to beat them, you have to get them to turn away from their God. And we're about to read in this story how the Greeks knew this way back then. All our enemies did. You know what I'm saying? The Assyrians knew it. Every kingdom that we've been under, right? The one thing that they tried to do was get us to turn away from the Most High. They forced their ways upon us. They tried to get us to turn away from the Most High. And as long as we was following their ways, no matter what kingdom it was under, the Assyrians, the Persians, don't matter. Whatever kingdom we was up under, as long as we served them and followed their ways, we suffered. But it would always be that one Israelite that would fight against it, and we would win our freedom. And then the next set of conquerors will come in. But these nations are destroyed whenever we decide to serve the Most High. Look at Moses. Moses wasn't a warrior. The Most High made him into a warrior. Look at David. David wasn't a warrior. The Most High made him into a warrior. Why? Because he followed the law, statutes, and commandments, and he was willing to fight and die for the law, statutes, and commandments. And we about to get it right here in these scriptures even more, man. So that our enemies understand that. They understand that if you get us to turn away from the Most High, then you can defeat us. And to the point where they passed laws back then, just like we see in all these homosexual laws being passed now, and all these laws that tells you that you can do whatever. Like, everybody's allowed religious freedom on the face of this planet, right? Everybody's allowed religious freedom except for who? Except for the children of Israel. We are not allowed to be Hebrew Israelites. We're not allowed to be Israelites. We got to be black identity extremists. We have to be a hate group. We have to be all of these other things. Nobody calls the Chinese man a hate group. The Chinese man only cares about Chinese people. When you go into the Chinese shop, you see nothing but Chinese people working there. They don't spend outside their race. All their money circulates. They don't send their kids. How many times listen, we all been to public school. How many Chinese kids did you see in there? Let's be honest. You didn't see a lot. You didn't see, like, not the way we felt then. They don't even send their kids to school with us. You understand? They don't give a damn about us. They follow the dragon god or whatever. What is it, Kung Fu Panda? That's the God they follow. Whatever it is they follow. They don't follow our God, and they refuse to fold under anything. They Chinese Americans, but at the end of the day, they're Chinese, period. They don't follow the laws of America, man. You go into a Chinese house, there's very few and far between that you'll see a Christmas tree. You understand? You won't see them taking on the culture of the people who have oppressed them. None of these free nations, you won't see it. They do it because they want to, not because they have to. Here in America, black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man, woman, and child, you have to. Because without it, then you looked at America's looking at you in a crazy way. It's almost equivalent to what we're about to read. Because if you wasn't doing what America wanted you to do back then, I said America, Slovakia. If you wasn't doing what Greek wanted you, the same thing. If you wasn't doing what Greek wanted you to do back then, what was they going to do? Does anybody know? Say it again. Kill you. They were going to kill you. Now just think about it. What's the equivalent to them publicly killing you now in today's world? Now they got Facebook and all this other stuff. They will publicly humiliate you. They will make you feel this bad. Everybody's going to have something to say on your Facebook page, to where you want to get rid of your Facebook page, or they want you to kill yourself now. Same thing, man. Understand? No, you don't want to conform. We're going to kill you spiritually. I'm ready when you are, my man. So, where we at? Verse 5.
I got it. Verse 5. And after these things, he fell sick and perceived that he should die. It's like, if I could.
Man, break it out, man. What else?
No, it's I like it. And this right here is talking about Alexander the Greek. It's eventually during his reign of terror, of conquering all the other nations and acquiring land for his people in order for them to rule, the earth for.
I think this is talking about his father, ain't it?
No, this is talking about Alexander.
Okay.
Acquiring all this land and wealth and power for his people. Eventually Alexander the Greek fell sick. I think historians say he died from tuberculosis.
No, he had some type of homosexual disease because it was forming around back then too. No, you can look it up, but I believe he had caught some type of STD.
So malaria. Says malaria or other natural causes.
It wasn't natural. He caught some type of. They do that to try to save face. You understand? Just like when the so-called oppressor celebrity ODs off of cocaine, they don't want to say it was cocaine that made him OD. Same thing. They know what killed him. He was a homosexual. He died from bloody butt juice. Slovakia. Slovakia. He's a homosexual. That's why he died.
But regardless, you understand, the Lord made this devil sick, you understand, and killed him because of all the heinous crimes he was doing to so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
Right. Marrying into the 12 tribes of Israel. That's what he was doing. Every time he conquered a land, he would try to marry to make everything political in nature, to keep the peace. If he wanted to keep the peace, just leave people the hell alone. Don't that make more sense?
Right.
That's what I want to say.
Verse 6, wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive.
That is not what he did at all. Like Alexander never had sons. He had all these wives and never had sons.
No, I'm saying he got like his close companions together.
Yeah, I know. He divided the kingdom into his highest ranking generals and his army and stuff, like his soldiers and the people he had love for. But just like Philip of Macedonia, kingdom automatically went to his son, Alexander the Greek. Shouldn't Alexander kingdom automatically went to one of his sons? Shouldn't it have automatically done that? The reason it didn't do it is because Alexander didn't have sons. He took all these wives, and he wasn't even sleeping with them women. He was too busy sleeping with the men that he divided the kingdom up to. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he didn't even get a chance to divide it because the second he died, it became a lover's quarrel. It's like a family reunion. The only problem is he was sleeping with all these dudes. So no, he loved me more. I should get this. I should get that. I want the big screen TV. Blah 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 blah. This was a bunch of homos fighting over the power that Alexander had. And if it's one thing that we know here in America, the same thing holds true back then. There's nobody more violent than a homosexual. Well, I'll tell you, these homosexuals are violent. How many times y'all have seen it on Facebook and YouTube? These homosexuals gonna play. They come to scrap. They will fight. They'll fight whoever. They fight me. They'll fight you, sisters, all at the same time. They'll tell you, I'm gonna beat him up, and I'm whooping you beast too. Ain't nobody escaping. I'm here to fight. You like Jesus Christ, and you believe him, because anybody that can take that kind of pain, listen, I ain't afraid to get punched in the face. Let's get some more.
And if I could,
yeah,
and the generals that it is that Alexander the Greek divided his kingdom up to was Lysimachus, who got Thrace and much of Asia Minor, Cassander, which got Macedon and Greece, Ptolemy, which got Egypt, Palestine,
right.
Cilicia, Petra, and Cyprus. Seleucus, who got the remainder of Asia, and who eventually founded the Seleucid Empire.
That's what I'm about to say. Now, Seleucia, and who's the guy that rules over Egypt?
Ptolemy. With the Ptolemy
the
dynasty.
other ones that got land, eventually what they had to do is they had to concede to pick a side, because it was between Ptolemy and Seleucia. Those were the two big dogs. And Egypt eventually ends up winning, according to European history, if my memory serves me correctly. You know what I'm saying? That name sounds very familiar. And I remember in history class, because I used to be a history buff. Like, I used to love history. And, and I was real big on Greek mythology. I was just wired that way. I knew about Greek mythology more than I knew about, the Greek gods and this and that, before I knew about the God of the Bible. Because, I grew up in a Christian church. So to me, the God of the Bible sounded like a coward. He just wants to love everybody and kiss and hug. Like I never knew that war was in the Bible. But when you read Greek history, Zeus and Apollo, that's all they about is warfare. And my masculine spirit was calling it that. Now I see why they did that. We're going to make the black god a coward and make him look all extra feminine. But all these European guys, we're going to make them straight killers.
It's like, so you look up deeper into their history.
You see that they homosexual guys?
Yeah, find out they're homosexuals, child molesters,
right.
Rapists, sleep with their sisters and mothers, and daughters.
Come to Earth, rape women, and have kids.
Mm-hmm.
They just come down here and put on disguises to sleep with women. He disguised himself as a swan, all the bestiality in it and stuff. You don't get it when you're a kid. You just look at it like, man, that's awesome.
Right.
It's your program. Yeah.
I always want to be a shapeshifter.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I want to be a werewolf. Don't ask me why. But that's just how you are as a kid. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be anything except a soldier of the Most High. That's how destroyed I was, because that's something that's not programmed in you. But anyway, back to the scriptures. So the empires end up eventually being sided into two sides. That was Egypt and what's the other one? I forgot it that fast.
Seleucus.
The Seleucid Empire. Those were the two big dogs. We'll find that out later on in the scriptures, I'm pretty sure. Let's get some more. Been a minute since I read the back of these.
Verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. 8. And his servants bear rule, every one in his place.
So where they was, they ruled there.
Verse 9. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves.
So that's just like saying, well, it's a bad example, but I'll use it anyway. If something was to happen to Commander Junior Hannah, right? And all of us just decide to put crowns on ourselves. every city becomes a kingdom. That don't make sense. Don't make sense. And there should be, and this is an army, right? This is the Greek army. Shouldn't it be military rank and order, right? But all of them decided to put crowns on themselves. That goes to show you the spirit of the oppressor. The spirit of the oppressor is this: I want to rule, and nobody's going to stop me. Nobody's going to stop me. They were at war with themselves. Listen, the reason they was fighting with themselves about rulership is because they already had murdered and conquered everybody else. There was nobody else to murder and conquer. Because if it was, they would have came together under one leader, murder and conquer everybody else, and then fought amongst themselves. And that's what we always tell Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians: stay the hell away from the oppressor and his affairs. Because as long as you're in his face, he's going to kill you. But if you move the hell out the way, guess who he's going to kill? Himself. Stay the hell out. Don't go to war with the oppressor. America going to war, so be it. Let them go to war. Hey, good luck with that, buddy. You know what I'm saying? But stay the hell out the way, because let me tell you something. They will stop in the middle of the war to fight you, black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man. But if you're out the way, they kill each other, man. Let them kill each other, man. That's what they're good at. Killing. So let them do it to themselves. Ain't that what they say about black people?
Right.
Let black people kill themselves. Well, listen, let the oppressor kill himself. That's what he's good at. Let's get some more.
If I could real quick.
Yeah, right, please.
It's a good example of, let's say, men putting crowns on themselves after, someone important died. You can just think of the breakoff groups that came from the ISUPK.
Absolutely.
So I forget which 7 head it was, but after one of the 7 heads died, you understand, that just caused all kinds of strife, and it was just downhill from there, causing brothers to want to be their own leaders and to start their own groups so it is they can get rich and have their own fame and power. That's exactly what it was that Alexander's generals did. Because
that's a perfect example, please. Perfect.
And really any like religious organization, like MLK's little clique that he had once he died.
Jackson and Al Sharpton.
Yeah, once he died,
they all put crowns on their heads.
Yeah.
I'm the new black leader. No,
right.
Me.
You understand? Malcolm X went and put a crown on his head when he left the Nation of Islam because he didn't want to no longer follow Elijah Muhammad.
Right.
You understand? Like that's why it's so important to have brotherhood as a people.
Right.
Otherwise, you end up being just like the heathens who are just greedy and selfish bastards.
Damn right. Heavy breakdown on that, please.
So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth.
So all the raping, the pillaging, the robbing that was transpiring before didn't do nothing but get worse. And guess who's at the boot heel of all of this? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. We're always at the boot heel of it. You understand? Because we refuse to serve the Lord.
10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
And this is a weak spirit, man. And what we're reading about now, believe it or not, like it or not, understand it or not, is your goddamn Christian pastor. That's what we're reading about now. That's what your Christian pastor says. This is exactly what your Christian pastor said. Let me depart from my brothers and go make a covenant with the heathen so we don't have to suffer. We've been suffering ever since. Listen, George Bush got out of office, we've been suffering. Ever since Trump left, we've been suffering. Listen to how stupid that sounds, man. If you're not suffering for the Lord, who the hell are you suffering for?
Right.
You should be willing to suffer for the Lord. Because let me tell you something, the Lord has suffered for you. He sent his only son to suffer for you. None of us would give our child up to be crucified to save nobody. Flat out. Flat out. You're not giving your child up. Here, take my son, take my daughter, do what you will with them in order to save this person who ain't worthy of a goddamn thing. He ain't even worthy for you to piss on him if he's on fire. And you gonna give your child up to be crucified for him? Listen to what these cowards said. Let us go make a covenant with the same people who has been murdering, raping, pillaging, and robbing my brothers and sisters. This is your Christian pastor. This is their spirit. Let's get some more.
If I could.
Damn right.
You understand? And we had previously brought this scripture out during I think it was weak leadership or weak leaders. You understand? Class we did in the past.
Right.
And to reiterate what it was that was brought out then, like it is far easier to be a slave than it is to be a free man.
Right.
Saying as a free man, you got to worry about collecting resources. You got to worry about providing medical care, about making sure your people are getting water. You got to provide protection. You got to do all of these different things that require hard work and sacrifice in order to ensure that your people are taken care of and kept safe. But when you're a slave, you understand, things get hard, it'd be much easier to just run to your master and allow for him to provide for you.
Right.
Allow for him to give you the protection you need, even if that means your back gets beat, you know what I'm saying, here or there.
And it's a small sacrifice. Him raping my daughter is a small sacrifice. At least I didn't have to go hunting. I mean, that's how they think. That's the spirit behind it.
Right.
That's the spirit behind it. Like you said, you don't have to make the hard decisions by submitting and being a slave. Now, if something goes wrong, you don't have to receive the blame. Well, it wasn't my decision to make.
Right.
That's what you said. It wasn't on me. No matter how wrong it is, how unjust it is, you can totally listen. I'm absolved of any wrongdoings.
And not only is it far easier for you to, you know, get what it is that you need in order to survive, but also those men that sold our people out, you know, saying they are absolute traitors to our people. Just like the Christian leaders today and the Muslim leaders today, all the people it is that we turn to guide us and to get us out of these hard times as a nation. You understand? But yet they reinforce the idea of going to our oppressor. Right. They reinforce the idea of going out and voting so that it is that we can better our conditions. You understand? Like, it's just a terrible thing to persuade a people to turn to those who have been oppressing them for so long.
Same people like we just read about putting the voting booths in the Christian church. That's what they do. Put the voting booths in the Christian church. You ain't got to go over there. We got it right here in the church. So you can vote for somebody who's not your brother. Everything that you, by making these covenant with these people, here's what they're doing. They're making sure that you sin against the Lord. That's what they're doing. They're making sure that you sin against the Lord. Because, listen, prime example, right? You make a covenant with me, you make a deal with me. Now, I got the resources and everything that you need, and you make a deal with me. I don't give a damn what you want to do. You're not eating no pork. You're going to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments. Anybody that comes in this door right here, as long as they're in here, they're going to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments. You think you're going to go out to that parking lot, smoke a cigarette? Please. Not on my watch. Why? Because by coming into this door right here, you're submitting onto the will of the Lord. By you going through them doors of that oppressor, you're submitting onto the will of white Jesus. And white Jesus want to see every Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man suffer. It's that simple.
So this device pleased them well. 13. then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen.
So that's today's world, where they say, hey, listen, you can live that alternative lifestyle. That's what that's saying. You can eat shrimp, crab, and lobster. When they say pork, the other white meat, they're given permission. I was riding today with my son, right? And we rode past a church, and the church had a gay flag, right? And it had the black fist in the middle, you know, the Black Lives Matter fist. And then it said, all are welcome. Now, I seen that flag, and 1,000 thoughts went through my head. And I said this, I said, man, what they're saying is this, like, all aren't welcome there. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it's a Black Lives Matter and a homosexual flag all in once, and it says all are welcome. But it's saying that only people that's really welcome in there, and we know this to be true, only people that's really welcome in there is black homosexuals. That's who they allow in there. Listen, I know me and my brother Madara couldn't go in there. They wouldn't allow it. And sisters, you think y'all gonna go in there with your hands wrapped up, dressed modest, dressed like women? No, you won't be accepted in there. They're gonna look at you like, well, there's a black church just a couple of miles down there. I'm pretty sure you'll feel more comfortable there. Like, you know, we was down there halfway to your house. You know, there's like 136th Street, something like that, out that way. Seen that church, something like that. I know if I'd have kept straight, I'd have been on the street path to your house. He was probably about 40 minutes away from my house. No, not even that, about 30 minutes.
Don't ring a bell, so
Yeah, no sweat. I know you don't see it. It's a homosexual flag. You ain't seeing that. But I didn't have no choice but to see it. Because I was driving slow. You know, it was raining all day. So, you know, I'm driving slow, driving safe on my P's and Q's, and I just so happened to see it. It's just flapping in the wind. I said, man, look at this. They got a Black Lives homosexual flag. So now, not only do it saying that you accept black homosexuals, but now the Black Lives Matter movement is equated to homosexuality. Like, this is the oppressor. That's what we just read in that scripture. You got permission to do what you need to do to destroy these people. And do what you got to do. As long as these people ain't serving their God.
Right.
Let's get some more.
14. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen.
According to what?
According to the customs of the heathen.
Now, this is where your Colosseums come from, right? It starts back here, but now when we look at it today, now you see why every major goddamn city has a sports team. Shit, even the not so major sports team cities have sports teams. Everybody is gymnasiums. That's where they practice at. That's where they was going to see it at. Let's get some more. And what's more, it's all heathen customs. It's to the point we're going to read later on in the scriptures where they were allowing people to come and, like, they were allowing heathens. Now, this is in Jerusalem at the time, right? This is in Jerusalem. They're going to start allowing these heathens to come in and sacrifice pigs and put up altars to their pagan gods in front of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. That's what they're going to allow. Can you imagine somebody coming in here and trying to hang a picture of Caesar Borgia on one of these walls? Can you imagine somebody coming in here and be like, right here, I'm going to put a Christian cross right here. You already know what's going to happen. It's going to turn into the Maccabees. It's a lot. Let's get some more.
If I could.
Damn right, priest.
You know what I'm saying? And this wasn't just like, like our people look at like sports like it's something that is, just something that's real small that wouldn't really have an impact on our people. But what is happening right here, like this was the first step in getting for us to leave behind our culture and our customs.
Right.
And saying, because when we built these places of exercise, we were just like the Greeks. Like the Greeks, they sat there and they would wrestle naked.
Right.
You understand? They would wrestle to the death, which meant you had to murder your brother. You understand? And not only that, but of course you got the crowd and people betting against their brothers, corruption, all these different things that came with adopting this way of life. Like that's what our people adopted. Like we turned into the Greeks, basically, just living in Jerusalem.
Right. And we're going to get it later on in the scriptures, if I could, because you dropped such a heavy point. We start taking on the heathen customs, right? And once more, this is a place of exercise where they just let all the heathens, like you're following the customs of the heathens, right? So when you look at it now, what are we doing? The same thing, even in today's sports. Like sports, like we're going to read it in the scriptures where they start letting them come set up altars to their gods. Sports now is almost religious in nature. Think about it. You pray before the game. You pray after the game. You got, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is religious. People talk about Michael Jordan as if he's some kind of goddamn god. He's the god of basketball. You get what I'm saying? Like, LeBron James the same way. You know, Babe Ruth the same way. Babe Ruth, boy, listen, ask a white person who the best baseball player is, and you don't say Babe Ruth. You be like King Griffey Jr. That nigger had never been. How dare you, Babe Ruth? You get what I'm saying? Like straight up, sports have become religious in nature. I've seen people on the sidelines and they're praying. They hold hands. As they need a 60-yard field goal to win the game. You'll see the team over there, everybody that took a knee and start praying. Niggas got their crosses in their hand, kissing it. Please, God, man. Like, come on, man. And now we see the root of it. Now we're about to get into why that happened. Way back in the Maccabees. But let me tell you something. Some real niggas said, we ain't going for that. We about to kill everything.
Right.
That's the glorious part about this book right here. When you find the stories about real niggas that wasn't born. You know what I'm saying? That's the glorious thing about this Bible. Every blue moon, you come across some stories about some straight soldiers, some blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that love the Lord and didn't give a damn what you were talking about because nothing's going to turn them against the Lord.
Right.
And here's the sad part. Now, we don't even realize. We all want that kind of loyalty in our life. We want somebody to be dedicated to us the same way that we read about these brothers in this book of Maccabees that was dedicated to the Lord. We want people to be dedicated to us like that. We want that unwavering loyalty. We want people to kill for us, to die for us. We want that. Well, listen, if you want that, you got to give that. And who do you give it to? You give it to the Lord. Have that same devotion to the Lord and you will get that. Trust me when I tell you. You give that same devotion to the Lord and you will get exactly what you want. Let's get some more.
Okay. 15. And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant.
Now, this is talking about spiritually uncircumcised. And forsook the holy covenant. But later on, we're going to find out in the scriptures where they passed a law that you weren't allowed to get circumcised because, you know, that's our religion now, Salakia. That's our custom. That's our beliefs to get circumcised as kids. Our boys are circumcised. And you think it's just something that we do just to do it. No, this is part of the cleaning laws. Like not being circumcised is really nasty. You get what I'm saying? And I don't have to explain the details. I know why. But it's gross. You know what I'm saying? The circumcision is really for health benefits. Not only for the man, but for the woman as well.
Right.
And they're like, no, you can't be clean. Keep going. That's why when they talk about circumcision, they be like, who is this filthy, uncircumcised? You know what I'm saying? They let you know that filthy and uncircumcised walk hand in hand. This is talking about spiritually, but eventually they pass laws where they make it physical as well. Keep going.
And joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief.
What?
And were sold to do mischief.
Were paid to do mischief. Let me tell you something. Remember when the Black Lives Matter movement was happening? It was a group called the Boogaloo Boys, right? This is a white supremacist hate group. And it was them, and it was another group. I can't think of the name. Antifa,
Yeah.
which is another white supremacist hate group. Guess what they were out there doing? They were out there paying Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian kids to cause mischief. That's what they was doing. I seen the videos. We all seen the videos. The dude came. They gave hundreds of dollars to some teenagers, right? We grew up poor. We grew up in poverty. We don't have anything. Shit, I don't have nothing now. You put $400 in my face. I'm like, man, who you want me slap? Like, it depends on the level of mischief for me. No, I'm just kidding. But you get the point. The point is we poor. And when you put $400, $500, $600 in the face of a Black teenager who doesn't have anything, whose parents are struck out on drugs, who's been eating Roman noodles since school let out, of course he's going to take it. You just want me to throw some bricks through this window? And the bricks is already sitting there. They popped up in the morning. There's a whole goddamn pile of bricks sitting there. Ain't no construction being done nowhere. We don't have money to pay for bricks. That's expensive for us. If we could pay for that stuff, our houses would be made out of bricks. We would have brick fences. We would have bricks everywhere. We can't afford that stuff. That's rich people problems. But Antifa and the Boogaloo Boys, they can pay for it. They can pay for it because in their mind, once they, just like Alexander the Greek died, just like he fell out and it was a power struggle, they want to fight for the power struggle. So that way they can put a crown on their head and say, Antifa runs this over here. We run the whole San Francisco. And when you come in here, you have to get an anal plug. Like, wait, what? Damn. Like, that's what they did, man. Sodom and Gomorrah, that's what this place is. Then Sodom and Gomorrah, they was raping people when they came to the gates. You have to be gay in order to enter Sodom and Gomorrah. That's how it was. They was trying to rape the angels. Said, bring them out so we may know them. Who says that? Besides America. Besides the Greeks. That's the Greek spirit. Some luck. Let's get some more.
16. Now when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have the dominion of 2 realms.
Now, Egypt has always been a powerhouse for us. We know that's where the Lord brought us out of in late ways too. Now, this is before that, of course. You understand? So all this is transpiring before, Christ and before, the Lord brought us out of Egypt under the oppression of the Hamites. But it has always been a stronghold. Understand? Let's get some more. But, and this goes back what I was saying earlier, that the 2 powerhouses was Egypt and, would you say that word for me? The solutions? The Seleucid Empire.
Seleucid Empire.
How you say it?
Seleucid Empire.
The Seleucid Empire. The 2 powerhouses were the Egypt and the Seleucid Empire. Like, it's almost like an East and West Coast type of thing. But the reason why is because of the resources. Certain plots of land, certain geographical areas just have multiple resources. Egypt, you know what you're getting out of there? You're getting gold. You get what I'm saying? You're going to get plenty of gold. You're going to get plenty of quartz. You're going to get plenty of silver. You're going to get plenty of all these things. Not to mention, that's just the revenue for as money is concerned. But you're also getting them exotic fruits and vegetables as well. You understand? And then the same thing over in Seleucia, which is going to be like the Asiatic area, right? Mm-hmm. So you're going to get access to the rice, the beans, them kind of grains. You understand? And all that is commerce to be moved on the market. Not only that, but you have you control the land, you control the seas as well. So then you have the routes on the seas with the trade routes. That's easier to go where you don't have to go this far out to the middle of the ocean. You can follow this coast right here. So if something happens to your ship, you're not in the middle of the ocean. You're just going to follow this land right around here. And, the patent or the insignia of whoever's running that is what grants you protection. Just like when we were slaves. If we didn't have that letter from the slave master gave me this letter, I'm good to go, then there'd be a problem. But when you got that protection of a man that's running that area, you're good to go. That's why these things were big parts in for us ruling the rest of the world because of the resources that it provided. Let's say some more.
And Slovakia.
Yeah, right, please.
And that like this is just one of many examples to show us just how greedy it is that our oppressor is. Like he likes to say nowadays that greed has always been such a bad thing,
Right.
but he likes to make it seem like his people have never been greedy, and how it is that everyone should work to get theirs and not complain about it.
We're all Americans,
right? You understand? But like our oppressor, he's always went to war with other nations, especially his brothers, if it means that he'll be set for life and his family will be set for life. Right. I mean, even then the Seleucid Empire was set, but that just goes to show they want all of the power in this earth. Right. Like there will never be any kind of peace in this earth as long as our oppressor is ruling over us.
Damn right.
You understand? He's always going to rage war with the Asians, with the Africans, the East Indians, the Arabs, his own brothers. Like there is no stopping it.
Right.
The only way that this beast can be stopped is when Christ returns or Yahushua with 200 million angels.
Damn right.
And puts so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, the 12 tribes of Israel, in charge of the earth.
Damn right. Heavy, what you just brought up.
17. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen,
right,
and a great navy.
He has to take control of that. The reason why is because of the resources. This is a stronghold. This is going to give them access to everything else. Like here in this city where we at, Indianapolis, Indiana. Does anybody know what they call this place? Of course, the interstates. Nobody?
I know it. I can't remember it.
The reason, yeah, like, what do they call this?
I give you I said the grippo room.
No. Hey, that's good. That's close.
That's Officer Trups.
Right. So I give you a hint. The crossroads of no. Now, I get what you're saying because that's one of the slogans that come afterwards, where people say it's more than corn in Indiana because this is farmland. But when it comes to traveling, this is called the Crossroads of America. The Crossroads of America. Anywhere that you want to go, even when you look at the map, wherever you want to go, wherever you're coming from, you got to cross through here. You got to hit these interstates. Wherever you want to go, this is the Crossroads of America, right? So look at Egypt, it's the same way, Crossroads of the world, because like you got to go to Egypt. Egypt, like I said, has so many resources at the time, right? Had so many resources. Number one, you got all of the children of Israel. This is the slave labor. This is the workforce. I need to go here to pick up some slaves. You get what I'm saying? Like, because, we know that, we are Africans. But what we forget is the reason why we ended up in Africa. And we also forget, even before, we started becoming slaves of these other nations, that we were already migrated into Africa as well. Setting up these routes, setting up these trade routes, conversing. We was already on these lands. When Christopher Columbus came here to America, who the hell did he find? He said, what the hell is it? It's Indians here. He called them Indians because he thought he was an Indian. That's what they say. We know the truth. We know the real reason why he found America, because one of our own sold us out. Get what I'm saying? That's why America is named after him. He had a European, British, black slave name. Bought his freedom and became what is one of them people? Navigator. Became a professional navigator. I can show you where I came from for the right amount of money. That's what he did for a living. That's in Christopher Columbus' own diary. Nigger showed me where the rest of the niggers were. He didn't say it like that, but you get the point I'm trying to make. You understand? Let's get some more of the scriptures, because I keep going.
18, and made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt.
So they had to go to war because once more, that's a major stronghold. All the resources there, you can't let that pass. That's the Nile River. We already know the Nile River is connected to everything. And it's right there by Jerusalem as well. And we already know the resources in Jerusalem. Like, even with all the pillaging and robbing that every empire that we have been up under like more than 5 empires. That's just me being modest about the numbers. Next week, I'll make sure I have all the empires from the Maccabees, before the Maccabees who we are under. And then I'll have a list of empires that we've been under since the beginning until now. But you better believe that every goddamn heathen nation on the face of this planet that exists, they all had an empire, and all of us were slaves to that empire for the most part, at one point in time or another. But I'm going to break down the ones who actually ruled in Jerusalem. That's what I'm going to do. I had that for you next class. You understand? So I want to make sure I research it. I'm going to call Officer Tarab. He is the Naptown historian, even though he's in Minnesota now.
Right.
But I'm going to be on the phone with him for like 4 hours getting all the details. You know what I'm saying? So I'll make sure we all understand this history. I wish he was here now because he would be going in. He would be going in because this is glorious right here, understanding our history and how we ended up where we at now. But all the empires that we were under, all of them ruled Jerusalem and then spread it into Africa. They started and they wanted Jerusalem. They got to have control over Jerusalem. The Bible says this: Jerusalem is mother to us all. What does a mother do? What is a mother's job? To nurture, to feed, understand? To give that love so you can grow strong. That's why they wanted to conquer Jerusalem. It was so many resources there that you can grow strong from it. And all the resources spread into Africa. People forget that all that's connected together. And they say Africa this, Africa that, blah, 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 blah. But it all comes from Jerusalem. This ain't my words, this is biblical. Let's get some more when you're ready about that.
But Ptolemy was afraid of him,
right,
and fled.
Coward.
And many were wounded to death.
He wasn't afraid to put the crown on his head, but he was afraid to fight for it. That lets you know if you're, and this is something that I used to tell people that I loved in the world this, and I understand it now more than I'm in the truth. Because I understand that it's biblical behind it. It's biblical. If you're not willing to die for it, then you know what I'm saying? Why would you try to fight for it? I'm not about to fight for anything unless I'm willing to die behind it. Does that make sense? If you're not willing to die behind it, don't be trying to pick a fight about it. Because what may not be valuable to you, and it might be fun and games to you, may be dead serious to me. You understand? I might be offended. You understand? I might be offended. It may not be that important to you, but it's important to me. And I'm gonna tell you like this, man. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it, but I know one thing for sure. I'll make it simple so everybody can understand. Everybody in this room, I'm gonna die behind. I'm willing to kill and die behind it. It's that simple. That's important to me. You get what I'm saying? Now, some people in the world, I might see, listen, I got love for you, but you're not UPK. You get what I'm saying? You're not. I love you, I got love for you, and when push comes to shove, I will, but the thing is this, it has to be on a different level. The reason I'm willing to die behind everybody in this room is because I know how you live.
Right.
I know that you follow the Lord. I know that you love the Lord. You know what I'm saying? What's important to Barn Gad is important to me. I'm going to kill behind it. I'm going to die behind it. No questions asked. You understand? No greater love have he. You know the rest, Barn Gad. No greater love than he for his brother. You understand? If you love your brother, you're gonna give your life up for your brother. That's what the scriptures say. You love your sister, you're going to put your life on the line for your sister. That's what it's about. Let's get some more in the scriptures. So lucky.
19. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt,
right,
and he took the spoils thereof.
He put a crown on his head, he fled, and he let this happen to his city. Ain't nobody coming in here to take over nothing. Only people who can come in here and sit where I'm at is the people who outrank me in this school. No homosexual from one of these fake groups would dare come in here and be like, I'm teaching class tonight. I'm going to bust his skull open. So lock you, for lack of better terms. That's only if he's aggressive. I'm going to tell him first, you can't do that, Doc. Have a seat. And if he insists and thinking he's going to go to war with me, it's going to get ugly. Because I'm willing to die behind where I'm sitting at right now. That's how much this means to me. Where I'm sitting at now, I know you're thinking this is just a desk with a seat. You know what I'm saying? I see the shield, I see the Isupk, but you'll die behind that? You goddamn right. I'm going to die behind this. This is how important that I take my job, that I take my rank. When I got that oil put on my head, I swore no. I didn't put the oil on my own head. Did you put the oil on your own head? All right, just making sure. And that's the difference between somebody putting a crown on their head and somebody that's given a crown. When you put it on your own head, you did that. It don't have no value to it in real life. It don't have no value to it. But when somebody else anoints you, it means everything. Because I no longer represent me. I represent the brother that rose me up. Right. I represent the man that came before me. It didn't mean nothing. That's why he fled like a coward and let his people die, the city gets sacked. My brothers and sisters ain't dying, and my school ain't getting sacked. I will not allow it. Keep going. Go ahead, please. Let's get it. No, let's get it. I got you. You the worst.
Verse 20. And after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt. He returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude.
And we're going to clip it there. So now we know where we're going to end at. It's talking about how he went to Jerusalem with a great multitude. You understand? Let's get the announcements, the Lord's Prayer, and whatever else prayer you want to do, and we'll shut that.
Come.
Make sure you mark that too.
I see.
All right. No. If you sent it to me, that's perfect. Go. Go on.
Isupk security announcements. We are the Isupk, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21. The book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 to 10, means tenth in the Hebrew. Ma'ashara, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, it's a free will offering for priests, and it's not mandatory. It's whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. To have the Feast of Dedication, which is on November 20th, which is on November 28th. You know anything else you want to say about it?
No, just this is a high holy day of the Lord, right? So listen, I know a lot of people think that, it ain't important. Why celebrate the Feast of Dedication?
Right.
Thanksgiving coming up, nigga.
Right.
I want some turkey. You understand?
3 days after Thanksgiving.
Hey, right? It's some hog. You gotta have that honey glazed ham. Goddamn all that, man. Serve the Lord, man. Do what the Lord told you, man. The Feast of Dedication is going to be glorious. You understand? That's what we got to understand. Serving the Lord's high holy days. And I'm mad because, I did a lot of talking, but, we got this whole book of Maccabees, and you're going to hear how important that important really is. I don't want to spoil it for the people who don't know the book of the Maccabees. But following the law, statutes, and commandments, no matter how big it is in your mind or how small it is in your mind, let me tell you something. Every single one of these laws, statutes, and commandments is important. And if need be, they're worth dying behind. Because you want to prove your love to the Lord. If you sell out for something, if you'll sell out for something small, you'll sell out for something big. But if you turn down something big, then there's no doubt that you'll turn down something small, man. Loyalty to the Lord is all that matters, man. Feast of Dedication coming up. Isupk.com. Go look it up, man. Go to the nearest school near you. Bring something if you can. If you can't, bring brotherhood and sisterhood, man. That's all that's really required. The priest will take care of the rest, man, until we get to wilderness. Till we get in the wilderness and we, hunting down deers,
Right.
and people herding goats on the move.
Right.
And it's going to be even better. You think you in the wilderness, how's it going to be better? Because we ain't going to have all these destructions. It's just going to be us rebuilding this nation, rebuilding this world, man. And it's going to be glorious. I can see it now. I can see it now. I know it looks painful. Some people, your cell phones will be obsolete. You're not going to need a cell phone. I'll be sending messenger pigeons to you. So, let's get ready for it, man. And you start by the Feast of Dedication, man. Let's get some more.
If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boots, shirt, pants, headband, and a war scarf. With that said, I manyam, which means to stand. Wapunya hakidum, which means to turn and face the east.
Then what?
The Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanau, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakucha, Taba'ah, Ratazayaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'aratazah, Kawah, Hayah, Bashamayim, Nathan, Lanaw, Lakam, Call, Yawam, Wasalakanaw, Kawawawathanau, Kasalakanaw, Kawawawathinaw, Wala'ah, Tabayayanaw, Panasayawan, Abal, Awashayanaw, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wadapara, Alamyam, Aman. Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. The prayer for the blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatha Yahweh, wa Yahweh Shai, Wam Yaka'ala, wa Alahayim, Matazab Yah, it's like Alawap Yahana, Ha Alawap Yah, Hazaranya, Ha Quatazayanya, Ha Kayayam, Wa Aquathia, Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, Dwara Aman. The prayer for the blessings in the English. Bless you, Yahweh, and Yahweh Shai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General Yohanan, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you. So be it.
So be it.
Sir, which means a turn. Sisters, Yeshabia, which means be seated. We're going to give a salute to the brothers, men of Israel. Imayim Sabbath. Imayim Barak.
Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakathon.
As a matah. Sisters, Imayim, which means to stand. We're going to give a salute to the sisters, men of Israel. Imayim Sabbath. Imayim Barak.
Yahweh Shema Adam Ba'Shem Yahushua.
As a matah. To have a service. Oh, slack. Class dismissed.
Don't forget to close on your computer.